Lately, I've been seeing a lot of players not truly understanding the power of tanking and what tanks are supposed to do. Today, I'm going to explain 3 reasons you're probably playing tank incorrectly and how to fix those things. My name is Nathan and welcome to Blizzard Guides. So I've been playing a lot of games on my Diamond alt accounts, and I've been seeing more and more players get to this elo where they don't truly understand what tanks are for. This happens in Masters and in GM too, but especially in Diamond, and I can assure you in ranks below that as well. People think that tanks are merely just bigger health pools with less damage, which is true, but that's not what the tank's purposes are. People will play tanks in the backline under the notion that they are protecting their supports, which is true, but it isn't what they should be doing, and then they'll overextend and they say that they're playing a DPS tank, and it's just all over the place. Not a lot of people really are playing tank correctly. I'm going to explain why you're playing tank wrong for these 3 reasons. The first reason. This one's pretty simple, but it's probably the biggest impact of all. Tank combos and just comboing with your team. If you're playing tanks that aren't going to play to the strengths of your DPS or supports, you're really just not going to get anywhere. It's going to be difficult for you guys to communicate for 2 reasons. One, if you guys have no voice comms going, your team synergy is going to be awkward, and so all the coordination that you would need to run awkward combos will not be there, and so you guys will scatter more often, your ults won't combo, and everything will be all over the place. And the second reason being, even if they are using voice comms, it just requires a lot of skill to coordinate awkward tank combos. It's just much wiser to run tanks that combo with each other or tanks that combo with the team. So even if you're solo tanking, play a tank that's going to provide the most value to either your team's carry. So let's say you have an insane Widowmaker, play something to the strength of that Widow, or play something to the general strength of your team. And if you're running 2 tanks and your team is willing to coordinate, make sure that those tanks, if you have the option to, combo both with each other and the team. That is the ideal situation. If you have ground-based DPS, Hog Orisa, Ryan Zarya, something like that. If you're playing more dive style DPS, then you might want to run D.Va Winston or something of the sort. You have a lot of options there, make sure to use them. And this is probably the topic that players understand most, but it's something that you should be very aware of when you play competitive Overwatch. So if you're going to fill tank, communicate that to your team in the beginning of the match. You don't even have to use voice comms, just use the text channel. Just type in, hey guys, I'm filling tank. Go ahead and pick and I'll fill for you guys. Or, you know, just pick tank out of the gate and swap around tanks if you know you're not going to coordinate well with your team. Play a tank that obviously combos with your team, and if you know one of the players on your team is doing well, or you find that one of them is, it's wise to make a switch to a tank that is going to play to their strength. This is just something that doesn't happen in a lot of matchmaking games and needs to be happening more. For the second thing, this is more of an abstract concept, and I totally understand why not a lot of players do this, and it is creating space. Well, what is space, you might ask? Well, space is something that's very interesting. It's not something that you can count or not some statistic that you have. It's literally pushing forward and distracting to some extent the enemy team. If your Genji is about to blade and you are aware of that, you might want to push up as your tank and be the giant health or giant shield that is blocking any damage that's coming into your Genji. I'm going to play this clip and you will see what I mean.
Point right now, the Valkyries come out. Can they get him? Asher down. Valiant seems to be holding so far. Oh, but then Bishu comes in with a double kill on the self-destruct, and now Hydration with the Dragon Blade. Can they finish here with the trance? Envy down, there goes Soon, and Bishu with the hero D.Va ult may have just done it. Oh, Karif can't stop them, and that is it. Gladiators will take the first round. They will get 3 points. I can't believe they finished that.
So here we have the clip of Los Angeles Gladiators versus the Los Angeles Valiant on Junkertown. We have Hydration on Genji, and we have Bishu and Remix on D.Va Winston, and Asher's on Tracer. So that's what we're going to be focusing on here. Envy on Los Angeles Valiant is playing D.Va and just got resurrected, and Hydration is 82% to his blade, so watch what he does.
Point right now, the Valkyries come out. Can they get him? Asher down. Valiant seems to be holding so far. Oh, but
so right there, Bishu creates a lot of space, and while it is a flashy ultimate, it isn't the kills that you're going for, but rather the fact that he pushes Winston and Mercy backwards. Even if he only picked Winston or only picked Mercy, this would have still been really valuable, because in this case, the Winston or the Mercy is stuck in the backline and they are out of position, allowing Hydration to pop his blade and start getting picks without being interrupted by either Mercy's healing or by Winston's taser for a few seconds, which is more than enough time for Hydration to get some picks.
with a double kill on this.
Hydration pops his blade,
Hydration with the dragon blade.
starts getting picks, and Bishu and Remix, instead of diving in, they understand that Hydration's blade will be able to get kills. So they play on the point to protect Shaz and Asher, who are staying on the cart. This allows Hydration to go out slightly and go for picks while still having the safety of cart being an okay place to go, with his supports being protected.
Envy down, there goes Soon, and Bishu with the Hero Diva ult may have...
And notice right there, when Agility dashes in, the tanks stay on the cart. Assuming that the tanks went to dive for Kariv coming out of the gates on right side, Hydration would have been stuck alone on the cart, and if Agilities was able to win that 1v1, there would have been a significant shift in balance. So that is one really good example of creating space. Space is just essentially protecting your DPS and creating real estate so that they can actually go in without taking heavy damage. Let me play another clip just to solidify this point.
Getting very close to his Dragon Blade, you can have the Dragon Blade plus Transcendence here to lead on through, and with this choke being so difficult to get through, that's why you see the Ryan Zarya combination come out.
Very much more of a brute force option. Not exactly with the subtlety of perhaps that dive composition. Kuking in the backline, what's he looking for? He's forced the transit of Supe already. Oh, you can't allow that to happen, but Supe had no choice. He would have died. There's only 35 seconds left. Soul put the Mayhem in a lose-lose situation, and Kuking's not done yet. Now the Primal Rage. You don't want to be stuck in here with a Primal Rage. Winston, oh, that hurts. It hurts to watch. Swoosh and Sebo are going to go down, and Kuking just cackling his way all the way to the bank, in fact. That is going to be the Mayhem having the floor wiped with them. And they're going to have one push map, but they don't have the time to set up.
Here we have Florida Mayhem versus Seoul Dynasty, probably the best team in the league. Here we can see that Zephyr is on Diva with Cookie on Winston, and we're also going to pay attention to Munchkin here, even though it won't be from his point of view. He will play an important part in this clip. If you see on the left side,
Have the Dragon Blade plus Transcendence here.
Winston and Diva are going for a flank, and Ru Jaehong and Fleta are positioned forward. They are playing a sort of counter dive. This is very popular in upper levels of semi-pro play. Essentially, you run dive but on defense. So you have somebody set up as bait, and the moment that contact is made, the Winston and Diva are able to jump unexpectedly onto the bait and start picking up kills. It works the exact same way with dive, except for with one or two players as bait. And since Jaehong and Fleta are both very high value targets, they're positioned up forward in a safe position, mind you, but still out there.
Lead on through, and with this choke being so difficult to get through, that's why you see the Ryan Zarya combination come out.
Very much more of a brute force option. Not exactly with the subtlety of perhaps that dive composition. Kuking in the backline, what's he looking for?
So right here, Winston and Diva jump on the Mercy Zen. This baits out Zenyatta's Transcendence, which was a good call, by the way. If they died with Trans, it would have been a very big issue, considering that they only have 40 seconds on the clock.
Transit of Supe already.
The moment that Zephyr and Cookie are able to jump on the point, Munchkin and Fleta are able to push forward and start looking for picks.
Can't allow that to happen, but Supe had no choice. He would have died. There's only 35 seconds left. Soul put the Mayhem in a lose.
Here we see Munchkin putting pressure on Tvik.
It's not done yet. Now the Primal Rage. You don't want to be stuck in here with a Primal Rage. Winston, oh, that hurts.
And here Cookie is able to pick up a lot of kills, but that isn't what we're focusing on. He's creating a lot of space and was able to absorb about 700 damage worth that would have been focused at their 200 HP DPS. Despite the fact that Tvik was able to use Blade and get one pick. All of those picks weren't completely focused on their team, and Cookie was able to create a lot of space for his team as well as Zephyr. And also one more point, Munchkin was able to pick up two picks there uncontested. He was able to get Genji and Zenyatta easily because Winston was the focus of that fight, and Florida Mayhem made the mistake of focusing all of their damage on Winston. What they should have done is fell back and peeled and not commit so many ults because they had such little time. I would have argued that Zenyatta's ult is probably the only one that they wanted to use, fall back slightly and then push forward when they recollect instead of letting Cookie push them into that little tiny room. That was another mistake, just going and funneling into that room.
Just cackling his way all the way.
And just like that, they're able to pick up so many kills, instantly shutting down the push. This is another really good example of creating space. The tanks are just so well defined and so precise on Dynasty's side that whenever they create space, the DPS is able to just push in uncontested without any penalty and start picking up kills. They're left with very large windows of time to get kills. And for my third point, a lot of players don't understand what peel is and don't do it. Peel is one of the things that pros do all of the time, and you may be doing it. The term itself isn't what is important, but peel essentially is when, let's say, your friendly Zenyatta is in a bad position and he's getting dove by the enemy Genji. Your option is to fall back and protect the Zenyatta. That is peel. And you can pull the Zenyatta out of the fight, you can make the Genji, you can lay damage down on the Genji so that your Zen can also put Discord and you're able to take out the target. Peel is essentially getting your ally out of damage and protecting them from any impending doom. Here I'll play a really good clip of Peel.
He was able to draw them back, but he will not live long. Striker will get found by Birdring, and there it is. We will have the Discord going out onto the big angry monkey, no problem there. He is going to try to buy the time, Gamsu, but he needs to get on the point, needs to have some kind of impact here as Ocean gets, well, there you go. That'll do it. 2 kills for Gamsu, and that could turn the tide here for Boston.
Notion shown off the edge into the carp pool. Helix will fall in turn.
Now, despite the fact that this play doesn't work out, the peel from Gesture on London Spitfire is just really good, and also the plays from Boston Uprising's Gamsu is just really impressive. The tank gameplay here is really just the highlight of this match.
He was able to draw them back, but he will not live long. Striker.
So here, Gamsu is actually creating a lot of space for his supports that are on point. So here Gamsu notices that Zenyatta is a somewhat easy target to pick, so he is actually able to just push them off the edge since he's using ult, and also push the Mercy away, which is creating space in a different sense. It's pushing the enemy team's support away so that his team is able to lay down damage without it feeding support ult or healing the damage that they're doing. But then this amazing peel comes in from Gesture. He actually uses his Primal Rage to push Gamsu out of the way and protect his Zenyatta.
Big angry monkey, no problem there. He is going to try to buy the time, Gamsu, but he needs to get on the point.
And immediately after protecting his Zenyatta, Gesture goes straight back to the point. And despite the fact that Zen actually falls off here to Gamsu, and Gamsu picks up a bunch of kills here, the peel that Gesture provided to Zen was really impressive, and it just highlights what peel is supposed to be.
Kind of impact here as Ocean gets, well, there you go. That'll do it. 2 kills.
But just notice that the tanks are playing on point. And notice here that when Gesture jumps into the fight, he jumps in between Prophet and Note. That way, by doing so, Prophet can't take much of the damage from Note and actually literally body blocks the damage that's coming in, allowing Prophet to lay damage in, and also gives Gesture a really good spot to zap the team that's stuck inside the bubble because he can actually do damage through the bubble.
The tide here for Boston.
Notion shown off the edge into the carp pool. Helix will fall.
What's really important is just that you have this awareness around and you know when your team is about to take damage. If you spot that Genji is dashing in towards one of your supports, your instinct should be to turn your attention towards your support and make sure that he isn't going to get bursted down and killed. Because the moment that you lose your support, especially on defense, you're going to lose. If you drop your support immediately, it's going to be a very difficult fight because any damage the enemy team lays down on you is going to be lethal damage. I'm going to play another clip on Peel because this is just something that's really important.
That's true. He made the right decision. We would have made the fun decision. Oh, Jake not having as much fun, but he gets a nice buy out of grenade. Stays alive here. Now the nano boost over onto Muma. Altering down. And there's a primal rage. I don't even know if they needed this one, man. Roshan and Altering were already out of the fight. And Muma just kind of hopping around. There we go.
There's a cowboy right off the edge.
Goodbye.
I have to say, Muma has been one of the standout players on the Outlaws tonight. Hearing Boink talk about him trying to improve his synergy with the rest of the team, you certainly...
So this clip is going to be an example of counter dive. I mentioned this earlier. It's literally just dive with an important target, usually a soldier or a Zenyatta on high ground or in a offset spot where it appears that they're out of position, but Jake is actually here and he has the corner to fall back to, and his Mercy is right behind him and he's able to drop to the low ground, which he will do in a moment. He's got Visor. He's in a really good spot, and if he needs any help, he has Muma and Cool Matt, two of the best dive tank players in probably the world, arguably. So he's got some really good spots to be, and he's got a lot of peel, and I'll demonstrate what this means.
That's true.
Immediately he gets pushed off by Shanghai Dragon's Pharah, and so he does what is most reasonable in that situation and falls back.
We would have made the fun.
And immediately, Shanghai Dragon's tanks do a really smart play, but Houston Outlaws were actually set up in such a way that even though the Shanghai Dragon's tanks did this intelligent play, they were able to counter that immediately. Muma is set up in a position that he can give either Muma or Jake nano boost and allow them to do a lot of damage. And since Jake is getting dove, Raucus nano boosts Muma, who's going to provide a lot of peel to Jake.
Oh, Jake not having as much fun.
And here, immediately, since he is a nano-boosted monkey, he drives the attention away from Jake and to himself. And he's inside of a bubble, which means he can't take any direct damage and has Raucus in a position that he can get healed. So Jake no longer has any pressure on him, and Muma provides really good peel for Jake.
Grenade stays alive here. Now the nano boost over onto Muma.
And now that Muma is able to take down Winston, Raucus is able to finish off Roshan with the help of Mercy and Jake. Jake's able to pop his visor safely now that Roshan and Diva will drop.
Down, and there's a primal rage. I don't even know if they needed this one, man. Roshan and Altering were already out of the fight. And Muma just kind of hopping around. There we go.
There's a cowboy.
And just like that, Muma is able to create a lot of space and also peel out Jake so that he doesn't take lethal damage and, well, die with visor. These are really, really good examples of what it means to peel and what it means to create space. Obviously, I don't expect diamond or platinum players to play at this level, but this gives a solid idea of the fundamentals of creating space and peeling your ally DPS or supports or even tanks. You can peel tank as well. It's just really important to do the three things I mentioned. Combo with your tanks or have your tanks combo. Make sure that you create a lot of space and make sure that you peel and protect. It's just such a simple thing that will improve all of your tank gameplay to the next level. It's something that not a lot of tank players do, and I wish tank players at lower elos did this because it honestly would push them at a higher level. It really requires a lot of game sense and it requires a good fundamental understanding of the game, which is something that a lot of players lack. And the moment that they're able to understand these things, they're able to ascend their tank gameplay several ranks. Tanking is about 30% mechanical ability and 70% game sense. This is the reason why a lot of tank players are able to flex between 3 or 4 tanks, and it's rather easy for them to do so. It is simply because the game sense that you require to play a tank is going to be the same game sense that you require to play any other tank. There are obviously technical abilities that you have and mechanical ability that you need. So Orisa is going to be slightly more demanding than Winston, but Winston's more demanding in other ways, and obviously there are some discrepancies in this. Zarya requires, perfect tracking to get the most value out of her, but the tanks still require the same game sense. So the moment that you learn how to play one tank, you'll really understand how to play all of the other tanks. These 3 things are not difficult, but they are something that you should be mindful of when you play tank, or even if you see somebody else playing tank, it's something that you can remind them of. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought about this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, any video topics that you want to see us cover in the future, or any discussion stuff, anything at all. I'll be reading comments, and I really appreciate all the feedback that you guys have been doing. I want to start a weekly Q&A or a end of the video Q&A, something of that sort soon. So the more comments that you guys bring about commentary or things about the video topic, the sooner I can get to do that, which is something that I'm looking forward to. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a nice day. My name is Nathan, and this was Blizzard Guides.